These are the session notes for January 14th, 2014. The session began with a question about Neil's statement the previous week about feeling hatred, and Dr. Shares wondered where feelings of hatred developed. Melissa then shared her story of what had happened over the week between her children and her ex-husband. I had the impression that her feelings of anger and the distress she felt over the situation were so great that she wanted the relief she would feel in getting the story told. In fact, Melissa said that she was sharing more details than she should, but that she didn't care. When asked what she needed from the group, Melissa said she wanted the insight of others, particularly the men in the group, on how her son may be processing his feelings. However, after receiving this information, Melissa said that she realized it was speculative and didn't really seem to fill her need, though she was appreciative of all of it. The initial question was one about the development of strong feelings, like hatred. Tom and Melissa shared stories explaining how they got to a place where they had felt hatred, but the details in both stories left me feeling outside of their experiences and somewhat removed or disengaged from them. Neil tried to address with Tom what he was feeling in the moment by asking, "Are you angry right now?" And there was dialogue about how Tom has worked to not be that angry guy, still mostly through examples of past events. Neil said that he was surprised at the level of anger he heard coming from Melissa. I wondered if that feeling was shared by others in the group, and if that made it difficult for others to try to share how they were experiencing her telling of her story, or Tom's of his. As a beginning therapist, when a client comes to me in obvious pain or distress, I struggle because I want to help him or her feel better right away. I want to offer advice or find something to say that will take away the pain. I wonder if there were people in group tonight who might have been afraid to get closer to the anger and hatred Maria and Tom were describing. And if so, was it fear of hurting Tom and Melissa or fear of getting closer to one's own feelings? This is individual feedback to each group member. Adam, you made a few attempts to get Tom to talk about the anger he was feeling in the moment, as he told the story of his current struggles with his ex-wife. You said you were disappointed in the way he ended his story about banging on the door of his old house. I understood you to mean that you wanted him to fully express his anger in the telling of the story. I remember a few sessions ago you saying that you can express anger, get it out, and then move on from it. I wondered how you felt about Tom when he did not seem to be able to do the same. You told him what you wished he had said, but that didn't seem to bring him into a more present moment exchange with you. I wonder what might have happened if you'd stayed with your reaction to his story a little bit longer. Brian, I was interested in your question to Neil about what he noticed in Tom that led him to ask if Tom was angry. It seemed as though Neil picked up on something that you missed. Neil said it was something in Tom's voice primarily, and in his face as he spoke. I wonder if these are signs in other people's communication that you don't typically attend to. I'm curious to know more about what you felt in having missed the emotion yourself. It might be interesting to test out what impressions you're getting from other group members' tone of voice or other nonverbal messages next time. Liz, you let us know you were not feeling well and would not be attending. Maria, after Melissa's story, you suggested to her that you felt that the story was not really meant to elicit support from the group, but that you felt it was her way to make sure that Dr. Shares got information about her week and how it was affecting her, since she wasn't going to be able to have a session with him because of her vacation. This may or may not have been new information to her, but I don't know that she got any information about how that impacted you, which made it possible for Melissa to dismiss your observation. Melissa, the session opened with work between Adam and Neil on strong feelings, particularly hatred. Although you introduced the idea of sharing what had happened to you over the week as a way to help Adam and Neil, you shared a level of detail that seemed to take away from your ability to make contact with others. I wonder if Maria's assessment was a more accurate statement of your need, that you needed for Dr. Shares to hear your story, or that you just needed to tell it and get it out. You asked for suggestions about your son, but that didn't seem to give you any greater opportunity to make contact either. I wonder what would have happened if you'd been able to explore the feeling of abandonment and how that related to the development of hatred, perhaps in dialogue with Neil or Adam, who seemed more interested in being in the present with what you were feeling at that moment. It seems important to notice when you might be using relatedness to someone else's experience as a means not to make deeper contact, but to shift the focus back to your own immediate discomfort. Neil. Last week, when you felt the group had moved away from dialogue, that you felt had potential for generating contact, you were more direct in naming it and the impact the shift had on you. Tonight, you tried a different approach, asking Tom during his story if he was angry right then. You also told Melissa how hearing the amount of anger she expressed surprised you, showed you something new about her. I'm curious about the difference in how you called attention to the level of the conversation this week as compared to last. Your response to Melissa, sharing your surprise at her anger, was the first response of the evening that was not meant to offer advice, and it helped move the attention of the group back to what was happening in the room. I wonder if your response to her anger is related to the feelings you started to explore last week about your own feelings of hatred, and if there's more work you could do there, perhaps in dialogue with Melissa. Scott, you told us that you had a church function that you would be attending this evening. Thomas, in previous sessions, you've talked about finding relatedness between your experience and that of others. You said that knowing that there is some similarity of experience can make you feel closer to them. Tonight, after Melissa told her story, you shared yours about anger. I wonder if you felt closer to Melissa as you shared your story, or if she felt any closer to you because of what you said. Until Neil asked you if you were feeling angry, I had the feeling you were not really with us in the room, which I imagine could make it difficult for Melissa to feel any relatedness or closeness. I wonder if there's something for the two of you to explore together next session about what needs each of you felt were or were not met as a result of talking about your anger this week.